මම කැලණිය විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ ගණක අධිකරණ අධ්‍යනාංශයේ කතිකාචාර්යවරියක් විදිහට කටයුතු කරනවා. මම විශ්වවිද්‍යාල අධ්‍යාපනය ලැබෙන කාලයේදීම CMA කළමනාකරණ ගණක අධිකාරී පාඨමාලාව හැදෑරුවා. ඒ මාගේ ජීවිතයේ සාර්ථකත්වයට මහඟුවත් වැලක් වුණා. ඒ නිසා දූල පුතාලටත් මම ආරාධනා කරනවා CMA කළමනාකරණ ගණක අධිකාරී පාඨමාලාව තෝරාගෙන ඔබගේ ජීවිතයත් ජය ගන්න කියලා.
ලෝහ පිළිගත් කළමනාකරණ ගණකාධිකාරීවරයෙකු වීමට පාර්ලිමේන්තු පන්තින් සංස්ථාපනය කරන ලද ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ එකම කළමනාකරණ ගණකාධිකාරී ආයතනය CMA ශ්‍රී ලංකා ඔබේ අනාගත ජයග්‍රහණයට.
Good day to you all. Today I am going to discuss another important topic in social business studies syllabus. So under the syllabus we have to study the competency 13, so which basically explains the contribution of operations management for the success of business. Right? So if we take operations, so these are the main activities or all the activities in relation to conversion of inputs into outputs. So inputs we can say basically these are the resources. So we are using different types of resources. When it comes to operations management, so this is also a very specific area. So we know what are the main functions or main activities in management. So basically planning, organizing, leading and controlling. So these basic functions can be applied in order to manage the day-to-day operations in an organization. So if we take planning, right, so we have to prepare certain plans. So we have to plan for a future period of time. So what type of products we are going to produce, what are the resources we need, for example, raw materials, employees, labor hours, machines, equipments. So these things we have to plan. So these are the basic things or functions we have to do under operations management. Okay, so with that we have to focus on basic functions. Basic functions, those are specifically related with operations. Right? So that is production engineering, production planning, purchasing of the materials, then production controlling, research and development. Okay, now we have come to the another important point, conversion process. That is how we are going to convert or transform inputs into outputs. So what are the inputs we are going to use and what are our outputs and what is this process? As you see, there are three basic elements in the conversion process. Sometimes it is called as transformation process. So I have taken one example, making bricks, right? So I need to identify what are the inputs, what are the raw materials, what are the other resources I want to make bricks. So I have list down like clay, water, labor, client, all these things I need. Then I have to feed all these resources into a process. Within this process, these inputs are going to be converted, changed. Right? What kind of activities are taken place under process? If you take a process, so it consists of several activities. So these are important activities. These are important activities and these activities can be taken place in a sequential order. So once we complete first one, we can move on to the next one. Likewise, we can complete all the activities in this process. The objective of the process is to convert. convert the resources that we have feeded into the conversion process. And final stage or element is the output. So what we can get actually at the end of this process. So here in this example, we should be able to take bricks. So that is the expected outcome or result of this process. We can't expect any other thing, any other good. So we have identified all the resources in order to make bricks. Therefore, we should make sure that at the end of the process, we are getting the required output. So this is the basic conversion process. So we can discuss different process in relation to different products. Now we are going to discuss about production methods. And so in the conversion process, we identified 3 stages or 3 elements: inputs, process and output. Right? If we take process, and so what are the processes, in other words, or methods? So we can't use same method or one method for all the products. So sometimes it depends. It depends on the nature of the product, very basically. There may be other reasons. So here I am going to explain you 3 different production methods. So production method is how we are going to convert inputs or resources into intended outcome, or you can define as goods or service. So if we consider about a manufacturing organization, obviously the output is a good, tangible item. Okay, so basically this classification based on manufacturing organization, right? So one is job production, job. Okay, another one is batch production, and last one is flow production. So what do you mean by job production? So here we have to consider jobs one by one. That means we are initiating or we are starting our production based on the customer requirement, customer orders. In job production, most of the items are customized products. If we have 5 customers, assume that their expectations, their requirements are different. So we have to design a particular product according to the customer's requirement. So one product may not be suitable for other customers. If we take one product that is only suitable for one particular customer, that is called one job, right? So it is job production. So I have given you certain examples to understand. If you are going to making a cake, our requirements are different. We don't know which function do we need this cake, right? Then architectural design for a house. Some people may prefer 1-storied house. Some people may prefer 2-story or 3-story likewise. So interior arrangements are different. So therefore, job production is basically focused on customized products. Then batch production. If we take one batch, it consists of same items in small quantities. If we take one batch, it consists of 15 to 20 or 25 items, but all items in that batch are identical or same, similar. So likewise, we can arrange or we can organize or we can continue our production process according to different batches, right? So if you take bakery items, so at a time assume that we are making bread, loaf of bread. Right? So, at a time we can get 30 or 35 breads. So, in that batch all the breads are identical. Right? So, if you are making buns, situation is also same. Flow production. Flow means it is also a continuous production. This type of production method is more relevant or suitable for identical products or standard products. No differentiations, all are similar, identical. The only thing is same product. Similar products are manufactured in larger quantities. We call it as mass production. Large quantities, we need large quantities to cater the demand. If you take soft drinks, so we need in larger quantities, therefore we need flow. Continuously we have to continue our production in order to meet the market demand. Milk powder, cement manufacturing, motor vehicles. And so we need those things in larger quantities, and all are, if you take one brand, there may be different brands. If you take one brand, we must have the higher production volumes. So we can arrange. So we can arrange our production process like flow production. At the same time, we can use lot of technology for this production method. So some countries, even in Sri Lanka also, so we can automate the entire production process because all products are identical. We must have few employees to monitor the production process. All are automated and sometimes controlled by computers. We call it as CAD or computer aided designing, computer aided manufacturing. These new production methods or technology can be applied to flow production. Right? So these are the main types of production methods we have to discuss. Okay, here I have compare these different production methods with their respective characteristics. If you take advantages and disadvantages. So if we take one production method, so there are inherent advantages and disadvantages, right? So this area also very important. The last year, right? So if you take last year past papers also, they have tested this area in different times. So you know that what is job production, what is batch production and flow production. So based on that idea, so I have identified if you take job production, so it is focused on one customer order, right? So very limited, the volume is very limited. Right? Risk, if you take risk, it is also very low because we are designing the product according to the customer requirement. So customer can't refuse it. Therefore, risk is very low. Customer satisfaction is very high. As a producer, we can fulfill all the requirements, then the customer is satisfied. Disadvantages or unfavorable characteristics. The cost is relatively high because we are focusing on only one customer, right? So cost may be high and we require skilled, competent service providers or employees to deliver or to manufacture that particular product. So therefore, skilled labor is very important there. So we are not much focused on the entire market. So we are focusing on one customer at a time. Right? So batch production, small batches, right? So if you consider one batch, we can get, so we can modify, we can change we can do slightly changes to different batches. But if you take one batch, all the items are similar. So we can get quantity discounts. Yes, if we are purchasing larger quantities, we are getting the quantity discounts. So thereby we can reduce the unit cost. Production cost can be reduced to a certain level. Then unfavorable conditions. So we need sometimes high machines, new machines and equipments. So we have to do, if we are to do certain changes or adjustments from one batch to another batch. Yes, unit cost is sometimes high because lesser, but the volume, production volume is not much higher than flow production. So therefore, volume is relatively low. So as a whole, we can say that unit cost is relatively high. Then flow production or continuous production, there we know that high volumes, so we can get economies of scale, so we can get quantity discounts. Right? Yes, we can automate the process if we want. So in that case, we have to make high investment cost. The fixed cost is very high. Flexibility is also low. We can't change. Flexibility means changeability. So we can't change the products from time to time. Why? Our production, the products are identical. So we have set the production process to get that product. So flexibility is very low. But if you take job production and batch production, that flexibility is there. We can change. But here we can't. If you take the market risk, there is a market risk. Why we are focusing on entire market? We are producing on large scale, mass production. So therefore, market risk is there. So we can't 100% ensure that these products will be purchased by customers. So they can refuse our products. So that risk is there. Right? So these are the favorable and unfavorable conditions of three different production process. Right. So this is another important point. As we know the basic, so these are the basic production methods. So when it comes to practical situations, it may be slightly changed. So these are the factors we have to consider. I told you that we can't stick onto one particular production process, and we are not expecting that all the production processes need the same or one single production method. So we can select any one depending on these factors. So one is the nature of product. That is the main thing. So we should know at the beginning what type of product we are going to produce. So having that in mind, we have to initiate our production process. At the same time, at the end of the process also, we should get that intended product. We are using all the raw materials, we are feeding them to the particular process, and at the end of the process also we should get that intended product. Then market size, that is how large our market is. Sometimes we are catering very small markets, niche markets. Sometimes we are catering for a huge market. Right? So if we have a small amount of customers, right, I think that we don't need that kind of flow production. So we can go for batch production or job production likewise, right? So if we are focusing on large market share, then we have to provide a supply to cater the demand. So we can select flow production. Technology used. What type of technology we need? Some organizations, they can work with manually. That means labor. They are highly utilizing labor intensive production methods. Some organizations, they can use sophisticated machines, technology and equipments. Okay, that depends on their financial capacity. Cost. That is the production cost. Again, we can classify production cost like fixed cost, variable cost. This is the very basic classification. We should be able to identify fixed cost. If we are making a lot of huge investment, fixed cost is there, right? Variable cost. So it depends on the level of output. So if you are producing more, that means we have to incur more variable cost. So by combining fixed cost and the variable cost, we can basically decide how much we have incurred for the entire production. Right? So it helps to set the selling price, and we can think about the profit margin. Then purchasing pattern. See how often we are purchasing the materials or resources required for our production process. Are we purchasing them frequently, always, or day by day, or daily, or occasionally? Occasionally means once a year, once a month, once a week, likewise. We have to, so these are the organizational policies sometimes. So it again change from one organization to another organization. Yes, convenience in obtaining resources, ease of getting those resources. And suppliers, so we are purchasing raw materials from different suppliers. So how easy? So once we place the order, how long will they take to provide that order materials? Right? So if you take employees, right? So can you easily hire them? Right? So if they are temporary workers or casual workers, right? Whether we can easily get that labor. So these things, convenience. Right? So these are the important factors, but there may be some other factors, but basically we have to consider these factors when we are selecting a production method. Then layout planning. Right? So this is another important area we have to focus on. So we know that. So what is our production process, conversion process, whether we are manufacturing organization or service providing organization, production method, how we can arrange all the facilities required for the production. If I say facilities, it may be resources, machines, equipments, workstations, how we are going to arrange them in a particular place. Normally we know that production process is taken place in a factory. Right? So we call it as a facility. Right? So we have to select a good location to put up the factory. Right? So once we put up the factories, we have to design the internal arrangement. Layout planning is the internal arrangement. Right? So you know that in a house, how you internally arrange the things, how you are going to place your furnitures, how you are going to place the other wooden things, where you are going to put up your kitchen, bedrooms. Likewise, we can apply the same thing into a factory. So we have to arrange storage facilities to store or to keep the raw materials, work in progress, finished items. Then where you are going to locate the machines, equipments, right, and workstations. This kind of internal arrangement is called as layout planning. And another important thing is that when we are arranging these things, we should ensure the efficiency in production. So we have to carefully manage the space, internal space available in the factory, as well as we should be able to save the time. Otherwise, to find out something, we have to go here and there. We are just wasting the time. So we have to save the time, and we have to utilize the space in optimum level. Here also we have to discuss 4 types of production layouts. If I take one, product layout, that means our arrangement is focused on getting a product. That means we have to arrange all our resources, facilities in a sequential order. That means, so we are feeding inputs or resources into one stage, then after that moving on to the next one, then after that moving on to the next stage. Likewise, so we can arrange all the facilities from one stage to another stage. So those are arranged in a sequential order. And at the end of the process, we can get a physical or tangible product. If you take motor vehicles, so this is a good example, right? So you know motor vehicle assembly. So we have to assemble different parts in a sequential order in order to get an automobile at the end of the process. Next one, process layout. If you take a process, there are a lot of activities, lot of functions to be completed. Then only we can complete the entire process. Right? So if you consider the entire production process, and if we take only one stage, one function, okay, from the entire production process, and to complete that function or to complete that activity, we can arrange, we can place all the machines, employees and other requirements in one particular place. To complete another function, so we have to identify what are the machines, labors we want, and we have to keep them in another place. So likewise, in a process layout, we have to identify main functions, main stages, and we have to arrange all these facilities to undertake that particular function. So here the example given is furniture manufacturing. You know that to manufacture the furniture items, so first of all we have to polish the woods. So all the facilities, tools, equipments, machines, labor, all these things should be located in a one particular place to do that one, to polishing, sometimes cutting, right? That is the process layout. Cellular layout. Cellular layout means there are a lot of machines and equipments used in the production process, right? So we have to categorize what are the similar machines and what are the different type of machines. And similar machines can be located in one particular place. Machines and equipments. Right? Another set of machines located in another place, but we have to make sure that by using that machine, we have to undertake one activity. Now, if I take this example and explain apparel industry, you know that first of all we have to cut. We have to cut the piece of cloth. All the cutting machines are located in one place. So we know that there we can do only cutting. We can't do any other thing with that cutting machines. Then we have to stitch the parts of a garment. So sewing machines are located in another place. So there we have to do only sewing. Then ironing. If you take ironing the garment, then that function is taken place in other place. All the machines, right? Machines and equipments needed are, the similar machines are located in one place so that one particular activity can be completed with that similar machine. Last one is a fixed position layout. Position is fixed. Position fixed means once you produce that particular product, you can't move the product here and there. One good example is construction, putting up a building, right? To put up the building, all the resources should be transported, should be supplied to a particular place, right? Then in that particular place, we should put up the building. As once you completed the product or the building, you can't move it here and there. The position is fixed. That is called fixed position layout. All the resources should be supplied to one particular place. In that place only the product is going to be manufactured. Right. So these are the 4 different operational layout planning we have to discuss. So next we are going to discuss about the break-even analysis. Right. So why this break-even analysis is important in operations management? And so we discuss break-even point as a short-term decision-making tool, and this concept can be applied in different disciplines. And so here operations management also we can discuss break-even analysis or break-even point. What type of decisions we are going to make using this break-even point? Right. So before that, we have to identify the basic classification of the cost. I think I told you earlier, total cost. If you take total cost, we can categorize it into fixed cost and variable cost. Fixed cost means whether we produce or not, we have to incur that cost. It is fixed. Okay, if you want to put up the factory, put up a building, right? If you are purchasing machines, I mean large scale, sophisticated machines, equipments, so those are fixed cost. Variable cost. Variable cost varies with the level of output. That means if you produce only, we should incur this cost. If you are not producing, we don't have to incur this cost, variable. It varies with the volume of output. If you initiate the production, if you produce only one item, you have to incur variable cost. So I have taken furniture manufacturing, right? So I have identified what are the fixed cost. See, if you have taken the building, you have to pay monthly rent, right? So electricity, right? So if you have appointed, or if there is a watchman, right, you have to pay the salary. So those are fixed cost. Whether we produce or not, we have to bear. Assume that you have started the production. You have started manufacturing of furniture items. So you have to purchase timber. Timber cost is there. You have to hire employees. So you have to purchase polishing items. See, varnish, salaries for carpenters, right? So other employees. So these are directly related with the production, right? Variable cost, right? So our concern is break-even point. To calculate the break-even point, we should know total fixed cost, variable cost, and the selling price. So this is the formula we are going to use. Total fixed cost divided by the contribution per unit. Contribution is the difference between selling price and the variable cost. Right, so we can get some value. We can get a numerical value after substituting values to this formula. So according to this example, break-even point is 600 units. So what is the idea? What is the idea of this 600 units? That means we can, if we produce 600 units, we can cover the cost. We can cover fixed cost. Okay. So if you are producing more than 600, we can make profit. If you, here our break-even point is 600. So if you are manufacturing 601, we can make profit. Any quantity below, any quantity or any production volume below 600 generates losses, right? So another idea for this break-even point is that no profit and no loss. That is no profit and no loss if you produce 600 units. If you want to make a profit, you should produce more than 600. That is the idea. Okay? So this break-even point is important. Right? So we should know, so before producing or before selling the items, we should know how much we should produce. to break even, just to cover the cost. We should produce 600, then we can cover cost. So that kind of basic understanding can be taken from the break-even point. Therefore, this is important concept for the producer. This is the graphical presentation of break-even point, right? So it basically includes total fixed cost, total variable cost per unit, and selling price per unit. So we can graph these three items in a one graph. Okay, purchasing of materials and services. Yes. How we are going to purchase and what we are going to purchase? Materials, I mean raw materials are there. We have to hire employees, right? So we have to get machines, equipment, sometimes technology, right? Advanced production methods. Okay, materials we have to purchase. Those are physical resources. So these resources can be purchased for different purposes. There are a lot of reasons to purchase these materials. So one is, so we are going to purchase materials for the production activities directly related with the production. Raw materials, machines, equipments, those are directly linked with the production. So that is one. Another reason is that we are going to purchase materials for the consumption of the business. Within the organization, we are using a lot of documents, stationeries we should purchase sometimes. For documentation purposes, we are purchasing computers, laptops. So these things, office items, office furniture, those are purchased to consume inside the organization. Another one is that services. Other than the materials, we are purchasing services. So we need electricity, water supply, we need communication, we need networking facilities, cleaning services we need, right? Security services is very much essential. So likewise, in addition to materials or tangible items, so we are purchasing services in order to carry out the day-to-day business activities, right? So if we are going to purchase materials or services from outside suppliers, right, so we have to adhere to a particular process or procedure. And so we can call it as a procurement, right? The purchasing manager or procurement manager is there, right? So he is the one who responsible this purchasing of these items. So there is a procedure, right? This procedure may differ from one organization to another. So we can't expect same procedures for all business entities, but it may be different. So it may be a organizational policy, purchasing policy. So whatever the policy or whatever the procedure they are using, they should ensure that they are purchasing right material in good quality, right, in good, in correct quantities. So they have to ensure these things. So we have to pay them. We have to pay. We are incurring a cost, right? So we can't incur cost unnecessarily. So therefore, we have to manage the cost very carefully when we are purchasing these type of materials and the services. We have to think about whether they are essential or not for the organization. Right. Stock controlling. Okay. When it comes to stock controlling, so there are different controlling methods. Here we have to understand what is the importance of controlling the stock. Right? So we can't maintain huge stocks, or we can't maintain very low stock. Right? We have to ensure our production process is going very smoothly. So therefore, what is the optimum level of stock we can maintain within the organization? Right? Optimum level. Right? So there we can consider about the continuous functioning of our production process. We have to ensure the efficiency and effectiveness. For that also we have to have a optimum level of stock. If we are running out of stock, we have to stop our production. That is also not good. We can't produce, we can't cater the demand, we can't produce the supply required. So that is a huge problem, right? So we can't store unnecessary stocks, right? We can't store unnecessary large stocks within the factory. Right. So these are the cost control methods. So these are in general we can use, but there are some traditional methods and new methods as well. Right. So I will give you a brief introduction about these stock controlling methods. So we can identify different levels of stock, different levels. That means maximum stock level, right? Minimum stock level, reorder level. Likewise, different stock levels we can calculate using the formulas, and we can maintain the stock accordingly, right? ABC analysis means we have to categorize the entire items into 3 categories: A category, B category and C category. Okay. Now why we are categorizing, what is the purpose of categorizing like this? ABC is to maintain or keeping a lesser amount of very high valued items. So we are spending different amounts for different items. Some items are very expensive, some items are not much expensive. Okay. So in order to avoid that our money is going to be unnecessarily tied up in high valued items, so we are keeping lesser amount of stocks. So this decision is done depending on the value of the items and the quantity. High valued items in lesser quantities, and low value items can be kept in large quantities. The 2-bin system is there are 2 bins, large bin and a small bin. Okay. The similar items are going to be packed in these 2 bins. First we are going to consume or use the large bin, right? So once it is finished, we are going to order the items. Until we receive the order, we can use the items in small bin. Once we receive the order actually to the organization, we can first fill out the small bin, and the rest can be filled out in the large bin. Right? Then stock recording. continuously we record. Once we receive the stock, we record it in a document. When we release the stock inventory, again we record it. So the changes in stock we can mention in a document. It's called as a bin card. Bin card. Bin card consists of only quantities. Only quantities. Computer programs. Instead of doing these things manually, so we can do these things using a computer program, softwares, as it automatically generates the documents, reports. JIT method, just-in-time method. Just-in-time method means once we place the order now itself we can get the order. Right. Finally, we have to discuss about the cost, different types of cost related with the stock and the economic order quantity. Okay. So, there are two types of cost. One is ordering cost and the other one is holding cost. Right. Ordering cost, when we are going to order items, so we have to place the order, we have to incur some cost to check the items, for documentation purposes we can incur ordering cost, and when we receive the order we have to store them until we release them to the production. So storage facilities are there, so we have to insure them, we have to pay for the watchman, likewise record keeping, and the total cost. The combination of ordering cost and the holding cost is a total cost. You can see it in the green color line, total cost curve. So the minimum point, when we minimize the total cost, the holding cost and the ordering cost would be similar, the intersection point. This is where the economic order quantity. Economic order quantity is the point where holding cost and the ordering cost would be same. At that particular point, total cost is also minimized. So this is the graphical presentation. So we can use the formula to get the answer for this economic order quantity. So this is the formula. 2 is the constant value, annual usage or annual demand in units, ordering cost per unit, annual holding cost per unit. So if we simply substitute these values to the formula also, we can get this amount, and we can use the graph to get the economic order quantity, and we have to understand the behavior of the cost curves. See, holding cost. The slope is positive. When we hold, when we keep more and more stocks, we have to incur more and more holding cost. See, ordering cost and the order size. If we increase the order size, the number of orders we are making is less. If we increase the size of the order, number of orders we are going to make would be less. Then we have to incur lesser ordering cost. That's how it becomes a negative slope, right? Okay. Okay, thank you very much.